Which factors led to or contributed to the rise and surge of inflation of 0.3% in January?
As we talk about inflation, there is one thing that has come out from the findings that Uganda National Bureau of Statistics has released, the issue of headline inflation rising to 3.7%. And headline inflation touches both food items, the perishables and the non-perishables. So looking at headline inflation, which has increased, arising out of a number of factors, we look at increases in food items and vegetables. For example, looking at vegetables, looking at tilapia, looking at dried beans and other products.
When you look at high inflation, it is likely to reduce consumer purchasing power and economic pressures, making it challenging for families. How do you think we can deal with this?
I would like to still start from the same point that we cannot discuss inflation out of the way the economy is, the state of the economy. So that is also connected to the state of the economy. The cost of living has increased, but the economy hasn't actually improved in terms of the way it's organized. People are still struggling. There is so much that people are struggling with. Even when you look at those that are earning, or those that are into different sectors, if everyone else is struggling, don't expect the business community to be thriving. It means the business community will also not be thriving. But also on the other hand, if the economy is not doing well, it means everyone else will be, will be actually under pressure to survive. So it means you can't discuss inflation out of the blue in a vacuum, but it's connected to how the economy is doing.
And it comes at a time when we're in the Ramadan period. One may wonder, how will this affect the families of the Muslims that are fasting?
In the Ramadan period, there is increased food consumption. And so how the inflation, the increases in prices of food commodities will affect families. One, of course, there will be a bit of being frugal on the side of families. Families will, in a way, cut their budgets because you can only spend so much based on what you have. But if you have less, it means you will only afford what you can afford. And of course, you can only cut your coat based on the size of your cloth. And so there are practices, all things that our Muslim brothers and sisters do during the holy month. There is zakah, the giving. So it means that will be foregone, or it will be reduced. So they would have to be frugal and cut all that expenditure.
SEATINI's 2025 outlook, or what you could give us as a projection for 2025 economically?
Let me start with domestic. There are challenges at the domestic level. We are highly indebted as a country. Our debt, public debt stock is increasing. Government increasingly has turned to borrowing from the private sector, crowding out the private sector. But also the private sector, on the other hand, has a number of challenges it's facing. It's not competitive both domestically, and it's not competitive even in the region. And globally it cannot. But also we look at, in terms of our trade, although our trade has improved, but we still sustain a trade deficit. And when we look at trade between Uganda and other members of the EAC region, we look at a number of opportunities. However, these opportunities also are faced with a number of challenges, because look at the challenge of the DRC, the instability. DRC takes a lot of our products because there are products that we cannot sell out in Europe, but we can only sell within the EAC region. Like plastics can only be sold in the EAC region to DRC, to Kenya and all that. But also the other challenge around that is we have infrastructure challenges, production infrastructure. We don't have a number of common user facilities. Even farmers are still struggling because to access extension services is also still a struggle. So we have to be alive to some realities. The issue of climate crisis, the climate change is a reality. So government needs to prioritize resources in order to make the agriculture sector resilient.